All right, Yankees to take it on the White Sox. Cole against the Velasquez, and Gerrit Cole's back, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, after a couple of rough starts early on, he's back to pitching in the form we're all he's known for. And I mean, I wouldn't put Vince Velasquez past you either. I mean, he's been a nice pickup for the White Sox, but obviously Cole, his last three with that ERA of .47 is back to his old self right there.
And Joel, just as a whole here, I mean, and you and I, obviously, I was here at WNBC at Channel 4 back in 1998. And, I mean, you obviously have been with the Post. I mean, those Yankees teams, you go back to 96, obviously. But, man, I mean, 98, 99, 2000, and even 2001. I mean, that was, you knew you were seeing something special. This team is 23-8, and that's the same record that the 1998 Yankees had through 31 games. They ended up winning 114 games. And, I don't want to get crazy and compare them so much to that team. But when you're talking about lineup, rotation, and bullpen, so far, so good.
Yeah, the 98 and 99 Yankees in particular, there's the famous call of Secretary ringing the Belmont, where as he begins to open up, the track announcer describes him as an incredible machine, right. Like literally in the stretch as he wins by about 30 lengths. That's what the Yankees were in 98, 99. There's just nothing they didn't do well as a team. The starting pitching and the bullpen weren't only excellent, but they were excellent in the postseason. You knew you could give the ball to almost anybody and they'd handle it. There was no weak link in the lineup, and I think it's one of the reasons the lineup thrived was nobody ever felt this pressure. Like when A-Rod came to the Yankees, he thought he had to carry the team. For all those years there, it was, if Bernie didn't succeed, O'Neill felt he would, or Tino, or Brocious, it was that kind of thing. Right. The Yankees of the last few years had been built, and they were pretty successful. They do make the playoffs every year, but they were built on a singular philosophy: power pitching and power hitting. And like in any sport, if you're single-dimensional and the single dimension gets shut down, you're in trouble. And if you keep seeing the same team in the playoffs, they're going to figure out how to shut that down over a 5-game series or a 7-game series. And the Yankees weren't advancing in the playoffs. And they finally got the memo that they needed to diversify and become a better rounded team. And they are so much better rounded now. Their defense is 2 grades better than it's been. So's their base running. It's by having better athleticism, the defense is so much better. They're catching, like they've been terrible against Tampa Bay the last few years. Yep. And finally they realize, Tampa Bay is committed to being good at everything. And like they are willing to walk the walk about defense and not just talk the talk. And sometimes you put a player with a bad average on the field because he means something overall. Yankee catching have not hit it all this year, and it's such a plus from the last few years because there's no drama. Gary Sanchez tried, right, but he was a soap opera. He was a drama. There was tension. There was stress. The pitchers are so much more comfortable and confident now in Trevino and Higashioka, and you're seeing it. 1 through like 10 to 12, they're pitching well. We showed Cole's numbers. Cole's the 4th best starter on the team this year. Right. And by the way, he's been terrific these last 3 starts, but they're getting it. Clay Holmes has been, and Michael King have been 2 of the best 5 relievers in the American League this year. So they've done a great job at the margins finding players, and they really now are a more complete team that could beat you in different ways.
Yeah, I'll look at what the starting rotation has done here. And Jameson Taillon, remember they picked him up a couple years ago. Just gave him that 1-year deal, kind of work off. He's a great story coming back from cancer. Severino, healthy. And speaking of health, Stanton, Judge,
Big key.
Donaldson, everyone's feeling good.
Yeah, not only their position players through being healthy, but also that starting rotation. I mean, they've used the least amount of starting pitchers in baseball with those 5 guys, and heel pitching yesterday was the first time they had to use somebody other than those 5 guys. So, I mean, that's an important aspect of, why they're playing so well and been able to, play all aspects of the game, not only just the hitting part, but being able to pitch and defend as well is, a big key is having that health. I remember Jim Leyland would always used to talk about, like, for the starting rotation, you're like, I need to get 60 wins out of my starting rotation. The other 30, I'll figure it out. And, when you're able to put out the same 5 guys over and over again, right, you're giving yourself a really good chance of doing that.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't too long ago that teams were hopeful they were going to get 200 innings out of 5 starters and probably figured that was going to end up being a really good year. So times have changed a little bit. But to your point, they've only used 6 starters. So right, health has been a big key.